I swear if this isn't recording, you can see my hat line. Ignore it. Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. If you don't know, my name is Chloe and I have not been posting for the last 2 months. And you might be wondering, Chloe, where the heck were you? I've been busy, and that's literally an excuse and it's not good enough, but because of life I just have put YouTube on a back burner, which is something that I didn't want to do but just happened, and now I don't know how to talk. That didn't mean, oh my god, see, I don't know how to talk. Anyways, so within that 2 months time span, a lot of things have happened. I have been book shopping, I have been reading, I have been doing all the bookish things. So I thought, why not put it all into one video? Because all the videos that are in this video, how many times can I say video, were meant to be separate, but I decided to combine them all just because it makes sense in my brain to do that, and also why not? So in today's video we are going to be doing some book shopping, we are going to do a big haul of all the books that I've bought, we are going to be doing wrap up of the last 2 months, and we are going to be reorganizing my bookshelves, and I think that's all that we really did. Sorry I've been MIA, I promise I will be better. I am holding myself more accountable and I'm putting YouTube more in a focus. Yeah, that's all. Okay, why did I? Okay, let's go to future Chloe. Past Chloe. Oh my god. Hi guys. So in the last month I have kind of gone a little bit AWOL with my book buying. This whole year I have been extremely good at not buying any books because, you know, I'm trying to limit my physical TBR. But you know, it's been about 8 months and I just went a little bit AWOL. Josh is helping me go through. That one.
This one stays, this one goes, this one goes. So these are the books that she doesn't get.
Who wants to go to Four Seasons Orlando? Me! Here is a book haul from the last month. Let me go get all the books. I think that's all of them. And I'm looking at it, I didn't even get that many. Let's just start. So first of all, I'm not quite sure if I got these in Melbourne or if I got these as a book haul, but I got the BK Borison Lovelight Farms series, so that's Lovelight Farms, In the Weeds and Mixed Signals. I think they're part of the same series, but I'm not actually quite sure. So next I got the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy because I just finished Finale this month and I am so excited to actually read this trilogy. So it's Once Upon a Broken Heart, The Ballad of Never After, and A Curse for True Love. I've heard such good things about these books and I'm really excited to read them, but I was waiting also to buy them until The third one came out in the small paperback sides because it was a large paperback originally, and I hate it when it's two and then it's one large and it's just ugh. Anyways, then I grabbed Powerful and Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Powerful is the novella that happens at the same time as Powerless, and then Reckless is the second book in the trilogy. So I am so excited to start reading this one, but I want to read this one to like refresh my memory and then get into this one. But I recently listened to the podcast episode on I'll read what she's reading with the interview with Lauren Roberts, and it just made me really excited to read Reckless. Then we have 2 out of 4 of the series, which is Off to the Races by Elsie Silver and A Photo Finish. There is 4 books, and I read these on Kindle Unlimited a couple months ago. I think I read it in June, and I love this series, and now that they're coming to paperback in Australia, I'm just like collecting them. So then I got Funny Story by Emily Henry because I love Emily Henry's writing and her books, and obviously this is her newest one, and I've been putting off buying it because I've heard mixed reviews from people. Some people love it, some people don't like it at all. And I kind of want to film a video where I reread all of the Emily Henry books, because when I started reading her books, I felt like my reading taste wasn't as developed as it is now. So I want to read through all of them and then read this one. Then we have The Italian Marriage and Love and Rome. I don't know if these are interconnected, but they're by the same author. The Italian Marriage initially piqued my interest, and I haven't heard like anything about it, so I really wanted to read it because look at the cover. The cover, I did judge this book by its cover. It's stunning. And then what really pushed me to get it is I found Love and Rome in a secondhand bookstore for $4, and so I obviously had to grab it. Then I grabbed the Prison Healer trilogy in a box set because I've been wanting to read this since like the beginning of this year. Sarah Caroli read these and she loved it, so I really want to read them, and I just haven't gotten around to it, and yeah, that's why I got them. Then I got Love Unwritten, which is the second book to Love Redesigned, I believe, and I'm so excited to read this one because I loved the first one. I just love Lauren Ash's writing. Like, she's just an autobiography author for me.
You're recording a YouTube video.
You wanna say hi?
Hello.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very. Is that just today?
No, this is over the last month.
Oh my god, that's still a lot.
Anyways, the next books that I got was the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. I actually read the first 2 books on Kindle Unlimited last year, and then they came into print, so then I bought Caught Up and Play Along, and I'm like, well, I need the first 2 as well because I love this series. Like, if you want just a wholesome series, this is the one. I think this is an unpopular opinion, but I really loved the first book. Then we got some Anna Huang books that I also read on Kindle Unlimited because I did not realize, but her books are on Kindle Unlimited, which was like so mind-blowing to me for some reason. But I read all these on there. So I read King of Sloth, then I read If We Ever Meet Again, If the Sun Never Sets, and the last 2 books, but I couldn't find the last 2 at Kmart and Big W, so I might have to get them from like QVD or something. I love collecting books. I feel like that's just who I am as a person. If you couldn't tell, I just love collecting them, so you know, here we are. Speaking on collecting books, I did grab the special edition of Good Girl Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. So this is, look how stunning it is. Like, this, a work of art. I've got the first one, and so I had to get the second one, and then I haven't finished reading the third one, but once I finish reading the third one and the third one comes out, then I'll get that one. And then we also got the hardcover of The Serpent and the Wings of the Night. This is the last one I found in Dimmicks, and look how cool that is. Like, the sprayed edge could be better, but it's the fact that this has a secret cover. Like, are you joking? Look how stunning this is. Like, are you This is stunning. I'm literally not gonna put the case like this on it at all. I grabbed Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I was so excited to read this book, so we had to grab it, obviously, because I've read all of her other ones and her other interconnected ones. Then I grabbed Fall With Me by Becca Mack. This is the 4th book in the, I don't know what series this is called, but the first one's Consider Me, the Play With Me, Unravel Me, and I loved Unravel Me. So I'm currently reading this one actually. This is Fall With Me, and kind of obsessed is all I'll say. Then we grabbed a novel love story by Ashley Poston, and we also grabbed 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Then I grabbed the two new Tessa Bailey books, which is Fangirl Down and the Au Pair, I don't know how to say it, Au Pair Affair, because I love Tessa Bailey. I obviously had to grab the new ones, especially considering it's a hockey romance. Then, on the theme of hockey romances, I grabbed Collide by Bao Cabra, because I've been seeing it everywhere and I just wanted to get it. I love a good hockey romance, as we are well aware. So then I grabbed the One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crown, because these grew a lot in hype, I think at the beginning of this year, I want to say. I've been wanting to read them, so of course I had to grab them. I felt like I also didn't grab a lot of like mystery fantasy books. Like I literally only grabbed 2 trilogies. So I wanted to grab these ones as well because I thought, you know what, I love a good fantasy. Then I got Wild Love by Elsie Silver because I have finished all her backlog, and obviously then I need to get her newer books, and I'm just like, no, I just have to read it. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. And then the last 2 books that I grabbed Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This is one of her new STEM, no, not novellas, but STEM books. And then the last one I grabbed was Paper Princess by Erin Watt. I was in the mood at the time of buying this to read like a kingdom royalty romance situation. I think it was $2 or $3.50 on sale because I think they were coming out with like the large paperback. And so I've also heard things or seen things about this book, so I'm just really intrigued by it and I can't wait to read it. So with that, I obviously need to reorganize my bookshelves because we have a lot of books that I haven't read and just bought that are romance, and my shelf is looking pretty full. Plus, I have to put all the books that I've read back into the shelf. So I don't think I'll do it today, but at some point we are going to go and get a bookshelf, build it, and reorganize. I really don't know how I'm going to reorganize it, and I'm kind of stressed about it. I'll see you when I get to reorganizing. If this falls, it is because I'm literally so scared it's gonna fall. Hi guys, and welcome to another reading wrap up. This one is a little bit different because I'm going to be combining 2 wrap ups because this past month, August, has been so hectic that I literally have had no time to film anything. Well, I have had time, I just haven't prioritized time and put aside time when I've had time. So in saying that, I thought we would get on with what I read in July 1st. I read 18 books in the month of July. 18 of them were romance, 10 of them were Kindle Unlimited books. These are all the books. Still need my phone for Goodreads so I can see my reviews. I was also very good with updating my Goodreads past month. So the first book that I read this month was The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. This is the first of her interconnected standalones that she writes, and I'm pretty sure this is the first book that she's written. I could be incredibly wrong, but this one I gave a 3.5 stars. I automatically just fell in love with her writing style. I think it was very, very refreshing, if anything, and I love the male main character. His name is Josh. And I'm not just being biased because my boyfriend's name is Josh, but I loved him. And the motorbike, that is all I have to say. That is all I have to say on that without giving any spoilers. But the thing that kind of turned me off in this book was the heavy miscommunication and refusal. You know, if you know, you know. Like it kind of threw me off with my rating, but in saying that, it is still a 3.5 stars. So obviously I went into the next book as part of the Friend Zone series, and it is the Happy Ever After playlist, which I think is the book that got a lot of hype on TikTok. So I did give this one a 4 stars because I thought this one was it's just so cute. Like, the book itself is so cute. I loved the banter. I loved how Jason was a persistent man. He was a persistent man in this book. And the love at first sight trope, it just hits different. It just hits different. So, highly recommend. This one was really good. Then the last book in that trilogy that I read was Life's Too Short. This one I gave a 3.75 because I loved it. I mean, it was such a good way to wrap up the series, and I love the dynamic in this book between Vanessa and Adrian. Abby Jimenez knows how to write men, and that is all I am going to say on it, because I think it really solidified as I've read all of these books that she knows how to write a good man. So overall, this series is like a 4-star series. I would highly recommend reading it before you read her next series, which we'll obviously go into. But yeah, her next series is the Part of Your World series, and obviously we start with Part of Your World. So this one is just another cute book. Because it is an age gap romance, sometimes authors tend to emphasize the age gap, and I really dislike it when it does that because it just rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it when that's always about that age gap. So I really like the way that it wasn't emphasized, and how there was just like a really good theme of therapy and destigmatizing it, which I thought was so amazing. And all of the animals in this book were just their personality really shown through, which you might not think is a good thing, but it was actually really good. And the way that the female main character stood up for herself throughout this whole book was just so reaffirming, you know? Gave this one a 3.5. So the next book that I read was Yours Truly, which is the next book in this Part of Your World universe. I gave this one a 4 stars. I believed it is possibly my favorite Abby Jimenez book, but in saying that, I haven't read Just for the Summer yet. So I think this is my favorite one so far. I loved Jacob and the way that he was written, especially because he is someone who lives with anxiety, and the way that was written was so well done that I don't think there is better representation of it. 4 stars. Then I was just on a roll with reading my physical TBR. So we read Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. This book was actually recommended to me by one of my friends, Mia. So if you're watching this, thanks girl. And I gave this book a 4 stars because in the beginning, I didn't know what to expect. I've just heard a lot of things about this book, and the fact that I can remember what happens in this book says a lot. So it is very Wattpad-y, is all I'll say. But once you get used to the writing, you're just like fully immersed in it. I mean, I just love Noah. Like, Noah, the patient man he is. It just makes you feel all the feels, and really good book. Highly recommend. Oh, it was doing so well. I hope that didn't break it. Hey guys. So, I broke my camera filming the wrap up. Like, it's fine. It just won't close any more than that. That's okay, we'll just change scenery because obviously it fell. So the next book that I read was The Wedding Crasher by Abigail Mann. I have not seen anything about this book. I actually picked it up when I went away and it was on sale, so I was like, you know what, I liked the concept, seemed kind of cool. I gave this book a 3 stars. I really enjoyed the fact that the female in character was a photographer, and I really liked the whole concept of this book. However, I like kind of guessed every single thing that happened, so I don't know. It was still enjoyable. You can still go there. Oh, you can still go there. So then this is where I kind of got off track and I read those 10 Kindle books. So to start off with, I read Rival Darling by Alexandra Moody. I gave this one a 4 stars. I loved it. It was so good. The rivalry between the schools, the acts of service, the dynamic between the brothers, and I'm just so excited to read the rest of that series for when it comes out, because I was just immersed immediately in the world. It was so good. Then I read Failure to Match, which is the second book in the Bad Billionaire Bosses. I'm not sure if it's a trilogy series, but it's by Kyra Parsi. And I love the concept of this book as well. And the way that both of the characters fell for each other. Really enjoyed it. And I also, when I read this book, I did not realize it was a series and that I had read the second one first. So then I went to the first one, which is A Deal with the Bossy Devil. And I gave this one a 4 stars too, because I really loved their dynamic and the relationship that he had with his family. It was good. Highly recommend that duology if you're looking for something that's like kind of, you need like a palate cleanser, but not even the fact that you need a palate cleanser. If you just want like a good romance with like bosses and workplace, those books are the ones that you should read. Then I went on to the Anna Huang train. So then I read King of Sloth first, because I wanted to read it before I bought it, because my friend Maddie said that she didn't really enjoy this book. So I was like, oh, maybe I won't continue the rest of the series. However, I do have the other ones, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna read it. And I gave it a 3.5. I thought this book was really cute, and I love the way that both of the characters connected and how they became close and like grew close together, and how there was also like another plot showing their personal growth, because I feel like in a lot of these books it's always the plot of just the romance itself, which absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I really enjoyed how there was like a secondary plot that showed their character development as well. Then I read the If Love series. Oh, okay. So that is If We Ever Meet Again, and If the Sun Never Sets, If We Were Perfect, and If Love Had a Price. So those are the 4 books that I read. So it starts off with If We Ever Meet Again, and I gave this one a 3 stars. I really enjoyed the concept of this book. Wow. How many times can I say that I enjoyed the concept of the book? The first 2 books in this series is following the same 2 characters, except this one is set when they're on exchange in their final college. I want to say they're in college, but they also might be in school. Not really sure. So this one is about when they're in the exchange, and then this one is about maybe 5 or 6 years in the future. So I gave this one a 3 stars because, you know, it was good for what it was. Like, it ends on a cliffhanger, doesn't end in a happily ever after, and I just kind of saw a lot of the plot twists throughout the book. Then If the Sun Never Sets, I gave a 3.25 stars. Same characters, but I liked the story more than I liked this story. Especially Blake's character development in this book is really evident. The next one, which is If Love Had a Price, is my favorite one out of all of them, and I'm so upset that I could not find it, but I gave this one a 4 stars. I love a fake dating trope, and this one involves it, and the male main character in this book was just like I'm blushing. I really enjoyed it. And so that's about another person in the exchange group. So it's kind of about this exchange group of friends in the first book, and then each book after that is kind of exploring a relationship between them. And then the last book, which is If We Were Perfect, I gave 3 stars. I was excited for it considering who the characters were. It was just okay. Like, it wasn't anything. Then we read 3 more books. So we read another Kindle Unlimited book, and of course it was a hockey romance. So it's called Face Off by Chelsea Curto, and I gave this one a 4.25 because, you know, we know I love a good hockey romance, especially when the female main character is just a badass bitch. Like, there's nothing else to say for it. I love the plot in the book. I love that he falls first and the connection between the two. I also love this type, I was gonna say concept, what's another word I can use? Trope? I love this trope. It's not even a trope, it's a concept. I love it when a female main character is put on a men's team, and the whole scene where it's like they think she's a man but she's not, obviously, and then she takes her helmet off and then it's, oh my god, she's a girl. Love that. Then I read Cruel King, which is the Royal Elite series by Rena Kent. I've heard a lot of things about the Rena Kent books, and my friend Kylie said to me that I should start reading them. So I started from the very beginning because if there's something about me, you know, I love starting at the beginning of books. I don't care if book 3 is the best book, I will be reading the whole series. no matter what. But I gave it 3 stars. I went in blind with it. I wasn't really expecting what it was about. It's a dark romance. I'm not really into dark romances. I don't know how to feel about them. And I don't really know how to feel about that book. The last book that I read for July was Caught Up by Liz Tomford. Oh, Tomford. This one is a part of the Windy City series, which you might be familiar with The Right Move by her and Ryan Shea. So this is the 3rd book in that series. And I love this series. This series is probably one of my favorite series. It's just so good. So when I went into this book, I read The Right Move like ages ago. So it took me a while to like get back in and recognize all the characters. But once I did, like this book ate. This book was so good. This book I gave a 4.5. Like it was just so good. And I love Kai. He's a single dad. That's all I need to say. And their relationship, everything about it. It was just such a good book. Like just this man. He was so selfless, so patient. And like he just never took anything for himself. And I just want to give him a hug. So yeah. That was all the books that I read in July. Obviously, it won't be much time for you, but I'll see you in a bit when I film my August wrap up. Okay. Hi guys, and welcome to the second part of this wrap up slash bookish video. I rapid fire through these because I actually read 23 books I read this month, and I read 11 Kindle and then 12 physical. So the first book that I read was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I gave this one a 4 stars. I think this might be one of my favorites of her. It is the 3rd book, a part of the Part of Your World trilogy. And I love Justin so much. He was such an acts of service person, and like the way that he communicates was just so good. So 4 stars for this one. Then I read Play Along by Liz Tomford. This is a part of the Windy City series, and this book was so close to being a 5 stars. Like it was so good, especially after reading Caught Up, which is the 3rd book in the series, because this one follows his brother and you get glimpses of them in the last book. Just read it. I love the Windy City series. I think the Windy City series is like a 5-star series for me, which is so exciting. Then I read Blood of Hercules, which I gave a 3.5. I really enjoyed the concept of this book a lot. It's kind of like a Greek mythology. She doesn't know she's the daughter of one of the gods, and then they find her and it's like this big whole thing, and she has to go through these trials, and then it's, yeah. I'm excited to read the next one. It did take me a little bit to get into, and I'm not sure if that's because I rated this one so highly and I loved it and it was a bit of a different genre, but yeah, I gave it a 3.5. Then we had a 5-star. I'm pretty sure most of you would have seen going around TikTok, Quicksilver by Callie Hart. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a go. Yeah, it's a 5 stars. I have not had a feeling of shock from the ending like this since Iron Flame. And I need days to process it. Like I needed days because like the hype of this book is so well deserved. I loved Fisher and I loved the lore and like the creativity of this book, and just everything was so well written as well. I loved it. It was so good. So that was my first 5-star for in a while, which is so exciting because I was getting kind of worried because I was like, why am I finding like no 5-star books this year? Then I continued with the Rena Kent lore books. You know, she's got a lot of books. So we did Deviant King by her and I gave it 3 stars. I didn't think it was bad. I just read it. I was like excited to see where the story goes. Then I read Promise Me by Carly Jean. Promise Me. I gave it a 3.75. I loved the reverse trope in this book, because typically it's always the man that does this trope and it was the woman, and it was just nice to see the reverse. And the character growth and the way that the male main character opened up to her was just so good. So I gave it a 3.75. Then I still continued with the Rena Kent ones, and the next one was still Princess. Gave this one a 3 stars. I didn't realize it was going to be like a continuation, just from like a different perspective, I guess. And I felt as though it flowed really well from the last book. And it kind of feels like I'm reading one big book. Like I feel like it would have been better as one big book, but I'm not complaining too much. Then I read Trust Me, which is the second book after Promise Me by Carly Jean, and I gave it a 3.25. I love the way that the female main character felt comfortable and validated around him, but the whole book just kind of felt a little bit rushed, which I get because it was only like 300 pages, so of course it's going to feel a little bit rushed. Then I read Twisted Kingdom, which is the third Royal League book, and I gave it 3 stars again. I wasn't expecting the characters to go on for this many books, so it kind of dragged on, but this one had a lot of plot twists, which was kind of fun. Then I read Puck Block, which is the third Bexley U book. I read all these books kind of out of order, and I don't know why. I just thought that that one was the next one, but it wasn't. Anyways, so Puck Block by S.J. Silvers, gave it a 3.25, and I just felt like there was so many different micro tropes in this book that it just kind of ruined it, and I couldn't really get into it, and it didn't feel like fleshed out, you know, like I don't know how to describe it. And then I read Unexpectedly Mine, which is the second Unexpectedly in Love book, which by Erin Hawkins. And I loved the male main character so much, and I love the concept of this book because I haven't read like a stripper romance. So he's like a stripper, and then she creates bridal gowns, and the characters' jobs were just so different to anything that I've read, which was like really nice to see. However, I just didn't really like the miscommunication between some of the characters. Like we got to the end of the book and it was just like they needed the third act breakup, and it was just like, yeah, miscommunication, here you go. And it's like, no. Then I was really on my physical book grind, and I read Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. This one is a golf romance, and the female main character has type 1 diabetes. I love Tessa Bailey, but this was kind of a letdown. I gave it a 3 stars. I enjoyed the concept of it, but some of it just rubbed me off in the wrong way, because the whole concept of this book is that she's a really big fan of him, and like, I don't know, just some of the way that they were written just kind of rubbed me off wrong, and it was so disappointing to see. And it kind of made me realize that as like authors grow, some of their work just isn't going to be amazing, but that's okay because I still enjoyed it and I still gave it 3 stars. Then I read Collide by Bao Cabra, and this one is a hockey romance, and we know I love my hockey romance, and I gave it a 3.5. I love the dynamic between them. However, I felt there was again a lot of micro tropes in this, and it was all just rushed into one. Like there was I won't say them because obviously they're micro tropes and that kind of spoils it. But there was just this one particular trope that was like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen. And then all of a sudden it just wasn't carried throughout the whole book. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna help you. I'm just gonna spoil it. So skip like a couple seconds if you don't want to spoil, but it was like, oh, I'm gonna help you find someone. And then that just got skipped over. That only lasted like 50 pages and that was a trope gone. So 3.5. Then I read One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I have been wanting to read this book for ages since it blew up, and I gave it a 4 stars. This book didn't disappoint. It was so good, and I loved the dialogue between Nightmare and her, and the side characters were so good. Like, I haven't been obsessed with side characters in a long time, and I'm so excited to read the next one because apparently the next one is better than this one, so I'm really excited to read it. Then I read Wild Love by Elsie Silver, and I've been wanting to read this for so long, and I gave it a 4.25. I loved Ford in this book. It's one of my favourite Elsie Silver books by far. Then I read Ice Bear, which is a part of that Bexley U series. I don't know what number it is. I don't know how I read these all out of order. I gave it 3 stars. It was good. It just felt a little bit rushed, which was similar to the last one, so. Then we have another 5-star, would you believe it? Which is so crazy because I went from finding no 5 stars to finding 2 this month. And that is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I read The Dead Romantics by her and I really enjoyed it, and I've been wanting to read this book for so long, except I couldn't find it in like Big W, so I finally caved in and just bought it at QED. And then would you believe the next day I went into a Big W and I found it? It's fine. I'm actually so obsessed with this book. I won. Is that how you say his name? I don't know how to say his name. But the man that he is. Basically the concept of this book, if you wanted to know, is that Clementine has an apartment, or it's her aunt's apartment, and the apartment, without rhyme or reason, slips back 7 years in time, and then that's where she meets this guy who is living in their apartment too. And then, yeah, the way it all connects is so good, and the romance just hits so hard in this book. Even though it is so short, it doesn't feel rushed at all, and it's just so good. Highly recommend it. Like, I am so excited to read another love story because of this book. Then I finally finished Finale by Stephanie Garber, which is the 3rd Caraval book. I have been trying to read this book for like 6 months and I just could not get into it. I just didn't love it. I gave it a 2.5. I just didn't have a good reading experience with this book, which is so upsetting because this book is kind of like the prequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I really want to read that series, but I don't know if I'm gonna like it purely because I just didn't like these books that much. And I think I liked the ending of this one. I thought that was nice and wrapped it up nicely. Then I read Culty by Mariana Zapata. I really wanted to read The Wall of Winnipeg and the other one that's really popular by her, but they went on Kindle Unlimited and I didn't want to buy books because I was naughty and obviously bought a lot of books this month. So I read Culty, which is kind of like a soccer romance. He's like this really big soccer player and she is playing in the women's league, and then he comes in and coaches, and he's very quiet, very reserved,
very demure, very mindful.
He is literally the acts of service king, quite literally. I don't think he even spoke. I could probably count on one hand how many times he spoke in that book. So like, you know, I wish he would have talked more. That's why it's a 3.5, but it was still really good, and I really want to read more of her books because I enjoy them a lot. Then the rest of the books this month were paperbacks, so I read Fall With Me by Becca Mack, which is the 4th book in, I don't know what the series is called. This is a hockey romance though, and we know I love my hockey romance. And they gave it a 4.5. This was so good. This series is probably another 5-star series for me. I loved Jackson. He deserves all the love in the world. He was just so precious and I want to give him a big fat hug. Then I read Ali Hazelwood's new book, Not in Love, which is a part of the STEM series, and I gave it 3 stars. It was cute. Eli is a major simp and I'm here for it, but that's about it. It was just a cute book. No, not much to... And it felt very YA, even though it isn't YA. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's written about adults, but the whole book just felt YA. It's not YA though. There's scenes. Then I read Paper Princess by Aaron Watt. I did see a lot about this like ages ago, but I just never picked it up. And then it was on sale and I was like, well, I may as well pick it up. So this book is a part of the Royals series, and I thought it was going to be like a princess series, hence the thing, but it's more of a Walter Boys situation. And I gave it a 3.25. It was giving what needed to be giving, and I love the dynamic between the family, and I did not see the ending coming, so 3.25. And then the last book I read is another 5-star, which is absolutely crazy, but this funny story. By Emily Henry. I am obsessed with this book. This book is utter perfection. I got hooked 6 pages in. I was giggling. I filmed a reading vlog with this book that will come out at some point, so you will see my reactions to me reading it for the first time. But it was just so good. I'm just obsessed with it. Those are all the books that I read this month, which is kind of crazy that I read so many physical books, because I feel like recently I've been reading more Kindle, or like an equal amount of Kindle compared to physical books, and like no physical books. So I'm trying to get through my TBR, because that whole shelf there is my TBR, like my physical one. The next part of this video, I guess, is going to be me redoing my bookshelf. I just confirmed with a Facebook marketplace seller. He's got a thin Billy bookcase that he's selling for $30 and they're like $99. So my dad's gonna pick it up later today and it's gonna go there. And it's 42 centimeters wide. And I think that will be perfect. Cause yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. It's literally like, I'll put it on the floor to show you. But you can see, like, that's 42 there at the edge. And then it will go to about there. So I'll still have, like, room there. It'll be very thin. But, like, I normally just go here and stand here anyway. So it's not like it's too big of a deal. Hello again. It is Editing Chloe. And I realised that I had deleted a bunch of this footage. So there will just be a bookshelf there. It magically appeared. Magically, yeah. And it's got all of my physical TBR in it. It's just magic. Okay guys, we are going to be tackling the bookshelves. Now, plan is I need to get everything off of it. Here's the before, actually, before I jump too fast. So here is my TBR shelf in all of its glory. And then this is my romance shelf. My other genre shelf is like mystery, thriller, fantasy, dystopian, non-literary fiction, self-help, childhood books, free shelf. So, and then I also have this shelf here, and then this one, which only has my crystal books there. I'm thinking this might be my non-fiction area. I think I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, because I'm like, I like the way it's set up, but it's got no room for growth. So I'm like, I don't know whether I want to set it up like, I still want my rainbow shelf, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if I want like hockey romances all together and like section authors together. Or we could try alphabetical order. The current situation there, then my bed. That noise in the background is just my candle. Hello again. I'm popping back in as I'm editing this because, again, I have realised that I have forgotten something. And that would be filming the final reveal of my bookshelves, which you can kind of see behind me and in the beginning clip. So here we are. This is the final reveal of my bookshelves. I'm indifferent about it. Like, I'm happy with them, of course I am, because there's obviously a lot more room to grow. However, it looks very blank because I haven't been reading the books that will belong there. So if there's a lot of blank spots, that is why. So I'm gonna start with my TBR shelf and then we'll work our way. So here is the TBR shelves. Mind you, all of this is double lined because I need to read more of my physical TBR, but this is all double lined. So we have the Chloe Gong series, and behind here we've got some books I'm halfway through reading, same as the one behind here. We've got some newer books up the front, same as here. We've got Twilight behind here, then we have a couple other random books, same here. Then down here is more of like the fantasy, so behind this I have the Shadowhunters series. Then we have the Truly Devious series, assistant to the villain, spells for getting, prison healer. So it's more of like the fantasy. So moving on, here we have a little book case. I don't know how to describe, it's just like a cube. So here we have a cube, and in this cube is mainly books that aren't fiction. So we have all of my crystal books here and astrology books, because if you couldn't tell, I'm kind of into that. So we have all of those up here, then here, and also down here we have my non-fiction books. So we have like Atomic Habits, 101 essays, biographies, etc. Because I don't read a lot of non-fiction. So half of these books I haven't read either, but I'm not going to put them on my TBR shelf because one, there's no room, and two, like if I need to gravitate towards it, I know what ones I haven't read because it's practically all of them. And then in this very corner we have Crescent City series, just there purely because they don't fit in my TBR shelf, and also because like they just look nice there. So now we are going to move on to my 2 romance bookshelves. So as you saw, I did get a new bookshelf, and originally that was going to be my TBR shelf because I have that many books in my TBR, but I'm using it now to kind of highlight my favorite authors and my favorite books. So at the top we have Lauren Asher, who is one of my favorite authors, is definitely an auto-buy author. So we have the F1 series that she wrote and another billionaire series. I forgot what it's called. I should really know because one of those books is a 5-star. And then following down we have Elsie Silver books because I have grown to love Elsie Silver's writing. Then we move down, we have Ali Hazelwood's books because again, another one of my favorite authors. And then right next to it is The 7-Year Slip, which has become a favorite book of mine, and I just wanted to showcase it. Then underneath we have Emily Henry's books, so we've got all of her backlog, plus we are showcasing Funny Story, which is the 5-star read. Then underneath we have the Windy City series, which is another one of my favorite series. And at the bottom we just kind of have a random assortment. One, because I don't really look at the bottom of my bookshelf, so often the bottom of my bookshelves are just really random. We have Elle Kennedy and then Sarah Adams. That's just because they don't really work anywhere else for now, and I'm sure that will change as time goes on. That's the mini bookshelf. Then we have my rainbow shelves at the top, and I don't care what anyone says. Rainbow shelves are so aesthetically pleasing, and I do not care if it's out of order because it makes sense to me and they look pretty, so what are you gonna do about it? So how I do my rainbow shelves is any standalone books I pop up there and I keep the rest of my series together, or if I have a lot of the same author, I keep it together. Obviously we have the rainbow aesthetic shelves up there, and then we have the Monica Murphy series. I forgot what series that is, but we've got that one there, that to kind of break it up because it's also got black and it just works. It just works. Then we have Colleen Hoover's, went back when I read her, so we've got some of her books up there. Then we move down and we have the Tessa Bailey shelf. As mentioned, I love Tessa Bailey, so of course we've got to have her as a shelf with some room as well for her future books. And then on the side we have Elle Kennedy's hockey, the Bri series. The next shelf, which is kind of like my hockey romance shelf, which surprisingly I don't have that many of. And then also on the side we have Lucy Score's Knock 'Em Out series because I wanted to do like a small town shelf, but it just didn't really work. Then we have Jenny Han's books, so we have To All the Boys I Loved Before and then The Summer I Turned Pretty. I obviously wanted to showcase those covers because look how stunning they are. Then we have Anna Huang's books, so we have the Twisted series, the If Love series, and the Kings of Sin series. Then we go down to this shelf, which I call my Destiny Sarah shelf, for obvious reasons. So if you don't know, Destiny and Sarah are 2 book besties, and I love their YouTube videos. And their favourite series are just here, so we've got Binding, Keeping, and Saving. Binding 13, Keeping 13, and Saving 6 on there, which is Destiny's favourite series. And then we have Magnolia Parks here, which is Sarah's favourite series, so that's why I call it the Sarah and Des shelf. Then underneath, similar to the bottom of this shelf, we have a random assortment of books. So we have Lynn Painter, we've got some Talia Hibbert, Amy Leah, Ella Mays, Mia Sosa, and then we have Abby Jimenez here, and then some Christina Lauren in the corner. And now we have my kind of mixed bag shelf. So the shelf over there, the two ones there, they're kind of like my romance shelf. I don't really mix romance with fantasy or anything else just because I read a lot of romance, so it makes sense to have that many books over on that side. So on this shelf is kind of a mixed bag. So up the top we have my mystery, Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, we have the Inheritance games. So it's kind of like the mystery slash thriller up there. Then we go down and that is going to be my Sarah J Maas shelf. So I plan to hopefully finish the rest of the Throne of Glass series this month so that it looks a bit more fuller, and then obviously Crescent City will go up there as well. Then we come down and we have my baby, my Fourthling shelf. So we have all the copies that I own of Fourthling up there and Iron Flame. And then we also have randomly One Dark Window. I didn't know where else to put it. And then we have The Serpent and the Wings of the Night. I also love that series, so those are two kind of series that are just there. It's kind of like my 5-star shelf, really. Then we go down and we have a little bit more fantasy, so it's the rest of my fantasy books. So we have the Folk of the Air trilogy, then we have These Violent Delights, These Are Violent Ends, that little duology. We've got the Serpent and Dove trilogy, the Kingdom of the Wicked universe there, and then Divine Rivals and Powerless. Obviously that section will grow and I haven't left much room to it, but I'm hoping I'll figure it out when it comes to it. Then here we kind of have a little bit more fantasy with the Caraval and Legendary and Finale, so that little trilogy. But then it's more so just dystopian. So we have the Hunger Games, then we have the Selection, and then Divergent. Hopefully I can finish Allegiant this month. And then on the second to last shelf we have more just regular fiction, I want to say. These ones aren't like romance books, so they're just more like modern fiction. So there's a lot of Taylor Jenkins Reid, and then we have Lessons in Chemistry, Midnight Library, The Morbids, Tomorrow, and then we have over here just like historical fiction. And then at the bottom is all the books that I read as a child. So we have Winnie the Pooh, we've got The Girl Online, we've got some Jennifer Niven, John Green, and then Geek Girl, then we have Truly Tan, and Crazy Rich Asians. So those are all my final reorganization of those bookshelves. Obviously on this shelf here, there is quite a bit of room, but that is because majority of the books in my TBR will go there. So I'm just trying to like organize it better. In saying that, I don't think I've shown you the books on my desk, because those books are the books that I'm planning on reading / are a loose TBR for the month. So let me go grab those. So these books are kind of books that I have the aim of finishing this month, that I have a loose TBR on. These are books that I want to gravitate to, so I tend to put them at my desk, so I'm staring at them all the time instead of like looking on my TBR. So as mentioned, I did want to finish Throne of Glass this month. So we have Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. That's a tandem read, and then Kingdom of Ash. I feel like I've said this for the past like 6 months. I will be finishing it. I am planning on reading this hopefully on Friday. So fingers crossed I can get at least a tandem read done this month, because it'll be so good putting these finally on my shelf. And then we can obviously get to reading Crescent City. Then we have Powerful and Reckless. I did start reading this last month, so I'm about halfway through. And once I finish this, I obviously will want to go straight into Reckless. So then we have Allegiant. I really want to put this back on my shelf. Hopefully we can finish it, and it's fairly quick. Like it's it's actually a long book. It's 500 pages. I'm scared. Then we have The Hunger Games, The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, Again, this is just another one that I want to put on this shelf so it doesn't look so empty. And I feel like a lot of the books this month are books that I want to put on my shelf, because ever since reorganizing my shelf, I just have realized how little physical books I have been reading, so I really want to get on top of it this month. Then we have Two Twisted Grounds. Last month I read One Dark Window, so I want to read this one this month just to finish the duology. I really want to finish a lot of series this month. Then we have the Au Pair, I still can't say this, Au Pair Affair. We have this one, and this is the last book of my Tessa Bailey area. I have started it, so I want to finish it. I just want to put it on the shelf. Like, I just want to put it on the shelf. It's my only romance book that is on my radar for this month. Then finally we have the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. So that's Once Upon a Broken Heart, The Ballad of Never After, and then A Curse for True Love. I have been wanting to read these for ages, and hopefully I can finally get to reading them because I finally finished Finale. But that is the final tour slash the finale of this video. I think I want to wrap it up here and conclude it here. So thank you for watching me do all these different bookish things. I'm sorry it's a little bit of a longer video, but you know, I think that's all. I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.